John Fredericks Radio Network and the John Fredericks Radio apps, and I am your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables. Well, we got the Trump bus, we got Governor Indiana, former Congressman, now Governor Mike Braun with us. Our cross have passed many times in D.C., where he spent a long time there, but now he's a governor of Indiana, Republican governor, joining us here on the Trump bus right outside of the state capitol on very short notice. Governor, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
All right. Mike Braun, governor. Now, a lot of things going on in Indiana right now. We're in the sports capital of the galaxy. No question about that. You got Colts, you got Pacers, you got this big game on Saturday night, and that's going to be a fantastic game. Before we get into politics, make a prediction.
So I think the line's about 4.5, and if anybody had talked about this 2 years ago, it would have been considered such a long shot. And here you go through the season we had last year, and now playing Ohio State, who's been always at the top of the Big Ten. And I think we're evenly matched. We may have the home field advantage, and I'm going to be there as a Hoosier with a great humility and say that we're going to win it, but it's going to be a slog. So similar to what I've been dealing with on redistricting. We'll get to that in a moment.
We're going to get to that now, but I am definitely taking the 4.5 with Indiana, because we don't know how good they are. We know how good Ohio State is.
Yeah.
We really don't know how good Cignetti's team is. And of course, he didn't do the Lane Kiffin, I'll kick old missing the teeth and abandon my team going in the championship. He stayed with the team, so that's all good. But we're short on time because of your schedule, Governor. I'm here for redistricting. President Trump obviously trying to gain 2 seats in Indiana. This is a Republican state. Give us a little feel of what we need to do in this special session that you called in order to get this redistricting done. Walk us through what has to happen.
So
Indiana Governor Mike Braun.
Put it in context, this has been a slog that we've been working on for nearly 3 months plus. And we've had...
Hold the mic if you can.
Thinking that since this is mid-decade, it doesn't make sense.
Can he hold the microphone?
How much they have gerrymandered over the years. This is about evening the playing field. And that's caught on so well. Roughly a month ago, the President Pro Tem kind of pulled the plug on further discussion because there were enough senators coming out publicly for it. So now we've had to really work. House said they've had the votes for over a month now. They're going to pass it, I think, with a strong majority tomorrow. It's now in the public forum where you can't hide behind closed doors. And our state Senate is going to have to get with it. JD's come in twice. The president's talked to all of them twice. Every other state's dispatched this with speed. And what are you trying to say? That we want to be gentle when they have gerrymandered it? Most of the people loudly against us in the state are Democrats and moderate to liberal independents. Republicans haven't been loudly for it. I dealt with that in the U.S. Senate. We'd have a third of Republican senators that were always slow to come around to the new agenda in D.C. and that's sweeping across the country. Here it's been like pulling teeth, but methodically we've gotten it there, and they cannot hide behind closed doors. So it's up to the President Pro Tem and a few that have stuck with him to take what's going to be a resounding vote from the House with maps that make sense based upon what every Democratic state has done in reverse.
Governor Mike Braun with us, Governor of Indiana, Republican, former U.S. Senator. Governor, so you expect a resounding victory for this to pass in the House, in the lower chamber. When will that happen?
Probably tomorrow.
So Friday.
And then the Senate has already, knowing that was going to happen, said they're coming back next week to take it up.
Monday.
Is it on Monday? Yes. So they're going to be back next week. So this is reaching a culmination here that I hope they can put 2 and 2 together. The large majority of Republicans in this state, all of our delegation, almost all the state office holders, strongly for it. And for the ones that thought this was out of order because it was mid-decade, they now know that the 6 bluest states, other than California, in New England, 3 times the number of electoral votes as the 6th reddest in the West. They've done this in a gerrymandered way for 2 decades. And you look at illegal immigration counted into the census. Most of that benefits your sanctuary states. They've had that benefit from it. And Biden opened up the doors during his term to even pile on there. We need to do this to even the playing field. And when the administration, who we've got a great relationship with, served there 2 years when Trump was running it out there, all of that comes into jeopardy if we are thick-headed and don't get this across the finish line.
So, Governor, we look good tomorrow. Goes to the Senate. What is your tell our audience, our national audience, the makeup of the Indiana Senate RD?
So, the Senate is 40-10 Republican, and it's 70-30 in the House. So there's a bigger percentage margin, but in the Senate, you've got some of the, you use the word rhino. I think that's descriptive. And they don't want to be tagged that when most of these districts were heavy Trump margins in their last elections. So they need to put 2 and 2 together, take one for the team. Every other state has done it.
So you need 21 votes.
We need 25 votes because the lieutenant governor can break a tie, and we need it to be better than that. This needs not just hopefully.
That's right. You need 25 because all the Democrats will vote no.
All 10 of them will,
so
and right now,
votes.
The half of the Republican caucus has said they're for it. And there are several other senators that once it becomes public on the board are going to be for it. So our own Senate has come along. They need to take it over the threshold.
So you can only afford to lose in the state Senate for Republicans. You can afford to lose 15 Republicans.
And that's too many
to
lose. Isn't that crazy?
That's a stunning number.
Yeah.
Like I thought it would be like, 3.
It ought to be
15.
the same percentage as what the House is going to do. And that means some of these senators are going to be surrounded by House members that have done the right thing. And maybe that'll make a difference.
And you've actually got a bigger, like you said, a bigger percentage of Republicans in the Senate.
We're one of the reddest states that everyone embraces America First, the Trump agenda, but they're sticking, their nose up on this due to some of the individuals that have run the state in the past that have said this is out of order. Well, you need to get in order, get this across the threshold, and it'll be focused on these 5 to 10 senators that have made this an issue where they never should have from the beginning, and especially the president pro tem of the Senate, Rod Bray.
Well, Rod Bray and the President Trump has already said, and MAGA Inc. has already said they were willing to primary him.
So if they can't put 2 and 2 together, that if this doesn't get across, that's going to happen in a longer term version of making sure that state Senate starts reflecting the mood of our state and the mood of the country.
And your chief of staff here is going to be able to give me the appropriate names of the people that we should get on in the next couple of days.
Your listeners need to get on the phone talking to these senators that are having trouble making up their mind. It reminds me when I took a privileged motion to balance the budget in the Senate twice, and I had 17 Republicans, mostly neocon rhinos, vote against it.
Why?
Why? Because
they don't want to balance the budget?
They're that niche to them is that important, and defense is important. It's the only thing we need to do well, but not at the expense of busting the budget. So they lose their financial integrity when they keep going along with the Democrats and do these continuing resolutions and don't get a real budget done. Same dynamic there that I fought for 6 years. And sadly, you wouldn't think you'd have to do it in a place where it's 40-10. At least there, it's 50-50, roughly in the Senate. Here we got this huge supermajority.
So what is your assessment? They're going to convene Monday. You're going to pass it out of the House Friday. Senate convenes Monday. Take it up. A regular order. When do you see a vote coming? Like, give me
so the House did it within a week. They've now got maps to look at, which many of them said, well, we don't even know what we're voting on. Well, now you do. It's cascaded in terms of in favor of it in the House. This is going to pass with nearly every Republican House member voting for it. And that's why we need to get the Senate vote up to at least 30 of our 40 senators. And to me, you need to weigh in. Others are. People across the country and within our state now know what's at stake. They play and use every variable to distort the national electoral landscape. We don't want to be a contributor to it. And we as a state are America first. Let's show it by getting this across the line with some margin to spare.
So give me your best forecast on game day: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Well, they're not going to have to do what the House did, which is craft the product. They're going to have to get right to the point of, are you going to then defy the large majority of Hoosier Republicans? Are you going to defy the White House, VP, and the president, the governor, and almost every elected official that has weighed in for it, including our 7 current congressmen, some of whom will be impacted by the maps where they've got cushier districts, but they're all for it. That should say a lot.
So Wednesday's your best guess.
I hope that it gets done by the end of the week. Here, it's hard to say if they belabor over it, whether that's good news or whether they quickly get it done. The one thing they shouldn't do is quickly dispatch it without approving it, because then I think it's a longer term version of what they will have created their own misery in terms of the political consequences of not getting this done minimally for the team and for all the other reasons I've talked about.
Governor, what happens if they don't get it done by Friday? Do they come back Monday?
It's not going to go away.
But did they come back Monday?
No, they'll come back in early January, and it's still not going to be dropped. There'll be other ways to bring it back up. The pressure then, once they snub officially, if that would occur, will get way more intense than what it's been to date.
Let me ask you about if it passes this next week in the Senate, it'll come pass in the House. What is the system to get the maps implemented for 2026 after that?
And then, of course, it'll be like any other state. It'll be taken to the courts, but we will have done our job of getting it there. And there's part of this that would dispatch it quickly to our Supreme Court, which would make sense.
Are you confident that the courts will go with a map that were passed by the General Assembly?
You would hope so. And it depends on what level of court you've got and what their disposition is. And you can see how that's, and I think it's going to quickly go to the Supreme Court based upon what happened in Texas. So we'll see. I think all of that falls in place in a way that makes sense. And to distill it into its simplest terms, you are endorsing a Democratic agenda that's been in place since the Great Society days and taken to the max through Obama and Biden. And do we want to live with that when you've got somebody now in the White House? We control both chambers. We don't want the House in jeopardy in 2026. Put 2 and 2 together. Otherwise, we are doing what we've done in the past, flat-footed against an opposition that uses every tool to make sure they're playing with all the variables in their favor.
So basically, this is a vote next week in the Senate to save America.
I'd say so. That's the simplest way to do it, most broadly. And I think we're seeing where every step of the way they fought it in D.C., some in our own party helping the opposition. Now it's time to get together. Don't lose this moment of opportunity.
Governor, how do we help?
Get your listeners out there bending the ears of these senators that are still fence straddling.
And there's 15 of them.
15 of them.
Or so,
yeah.
Right.
Well, currently there are 20 of them.
20.
But I think there are 5 of them once it gets on the public discussion, if not a few more, that'll come across. But I don't want to take any chances.
You don't want to take any chances.
I want to make sure it gets done with some margin.
You want to pass it not by 1 but by 5 or 6 or 7.
Well, we minimally need to get it done.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see a louder voice. And it's up to all the people out there that know what's at stake. Get your listeners energized. Have them out there making phone calls.
Governor, final quick question. I know you got to go, and thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Non-redistricting question. Your counterpart in California put up a portal for California people that domicile there, not residents, rapists, murderers, illegals, whatever, to go in, take photos, and report anything they see that federal law officials are doing that they don't think is right. Uh, Basically, he's saying don't follow federal law. Then didn't we go through that in 1861? Tell me what I'm missing.
Well, and from somebody that loves the federal government to selectively choose how he isn't for the federal guidelines, that shows you how they can change colors. Chameleons, all of a sudden they're interested in something, then they drop it. It's for one reason: they want to stay in power. And again, what I said earlier, guys like Newsom, it's happening in Chicago, Pritzker, New York. These places are going to do whatever they can do. And you can see what recently happened in New York City. That's the new face of the Democratic Party. Do we want them to gain stride on people like that getting further entrenched in government at any level? No, there's a lot of things at stake, including trying to send a message to a guy like Newsom. Don't selectively be for wanting federal rules to be paid attention to. You're selectively now politically trying to defy that. But that's typical from them.
Give me your, and then we have to go. Give me your percentage, like 50-50, 60-40, 70-30 of you getting the votes in the Senate to get this done.
Sadly, as we were talking about the ball game odds earlier, I feel more confident there. Here, they have dug in every step of the way. When the House decided, since they had the votes and they're getting it across the finish line, it looks like with authority, I think that tips the scales in favor of it happening. And then for any of them listening, if for some reason it wouldn't, the issue's not over. So get it done next week. Get with the team. If not, it'll be a bigger slog, and that'll play itself out over a longer period of time.
Governor Mike Braun, I want to thank you for being with us. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
And thank you for your hard work. I know you put a lot politically on the line for this, and I know it means a lot to the White House, it means a lot to President Trump, but it means a lot to Americans that just want to save the country. And we know if they take over, you know what's going to happen. They'll impeach him on the third day. The hearings are going to start. It's just nothing will get done.
And not to mention for Hoosiers, the 2 years I was out there and the misery of the 4 dealing with the Biden administration, we've got an excellent relationship. All the issues that they're putting out there, we're generally first call on amplifying it or doing something in my own ability to do executive orders. That's another thought that needs to be taken by these senators that are defying what ought to be common sense. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, you left Washington, D.C. for God's country here just before Washington, D.C. became the new northern Disneyland in America. It's the safest city in America. We need to keep it that way. That's where I live.
Well, I'll do my best as governor to do the share as an enterprising governor.
Thank you,
You bet.
Governor. That's it on the John Fredericks edition here live at the Trump Bus from Indianapolis, right outside the state capitol. I'll be on War Room 1015. See me there. Governor Mike Braun, governor of Indiana, former U.S. senator, pulling out all the stops to save America. It starts right here in the Hoosier State. See you in a few.